G'day! In today's video I've got a HP 15CX and the mounting point for the hinges has broken. So these are the steps that I'm going to take to be able to replace that. So let's get into it. First of all, I'm going to want to take the screen off, or the top half. So to do that I'm going to have to take the bottom off, disconnect the battery, disconnect the Wi-Fi antenna, video cable, and then from there undo the hinges. Hopefully it won't be too big of a task, but I guess we'll find out once we get in there. I've got the replacement back cover, and I have also purchased another set of screws and hinges just in case these hinges are completely buggered, which they may or may not be. It all depends what's failed. I've got a few screws across the front here, 3 of them across here. So this is going to be the easy part, is simply getting the bottom off and getting the battery disconnected, and hopefully just disconnecting the cables from there. The screen swap is going to be where most of the challenge is going to be, especially when you've got to route out the cables, successfully move the antenna, the webcam over. So there's a little bit to it. Lift that up just enough. Go. There we go, and we're in. And now I want to disconnect the battery. Looking at that, the hinges are mounted underneath the heatsink. So there is going to be a little bit more than first anticipated to do this job. So we will also be more than likely replacing the thermal paste on the CPU and the GPU while we're at it, just to be able to get there. Some designs of the laptops, there we go, lift up and out. Some design of laptops you can get the hinges without having to remove the cooler, but in this instance we're not so lucky. All these screws here look to be of the same size, which is pretty typical. Usually screws used for the same kind of thing are usually of the same length. Not that one. But the GPU repasting will do that at the very end. Hopefully there's no other little hidden tricks to this one. A different screwdriver, that's what that screws, lots of its magnetism. Hopefully from here I can lift this slightly. There we go. Removing the fans will also make this easier by the looks of it. I really don't want to have to, but I think we're going to have to. 1, 2, over here a similar amount. Hopefully I can just wiggle these out of the way, just enough to remove that cooler. There we go. There we go. One cooler out of the way. And looking at it, we don't really have much of a mounting point for the hinges. 4 screws. Go. Over here too. What? There we go. Now we want to disconnect the video cable, which is over here. Should be a sticker on it that you kind of got to lift up, a clear sticker. Should just be able to pull it back after, like so. Feed that out. We'll go over the other side over here. We have this bit of tape covering these two Wi-Fi antenna cables, one of which is broken on this machine. I should be able to lift this up. Hopefully get that hinge out of the way. Go, that one's out of the way. Should be able to hopefully slide this across. There we go. Move these out. And that's right to move this away. With that moved aside, spin this around. Grab the clamp on the top cover. For me, this is going to be able to pull off pretty easily. Here's where the tricky bit comes into play. This bit stays on here. Put that aside as well. I want to compare the pair. So as we can see down the bottom here on this mounting point, broken, broken, perfectly fine. Mounting point, mounting point. So what I'm going to do now is put this on my heat pad and heat it up for a little bit, and that should make removing something like the front sensors up the top here a bit easier. Granted, I don't want to leave it on for too long as it will cook the LCD and cause it to warp, but just a little bit of heat for probably 70 degrees for about 2 minutes. That should get it a little bit toasty. I can then use the pull tabs down the bottom here as well, on here and here, to disconnect the screen. Heat will help with that as well. So let's get some heat to it. There you go, so I've injected a little bit of heat into it on my blue heat pad. Now hopefully these pull tabs actually work, which the vast majority of the time they are complete duds. There we go, we have movement. If yours breaks, usually I try and pry from underneath and go up. So it's a big long rubbery bit. I'll go over to the other side now. Should be able to do a similar thing. Just try and keep it flat and parallel with the angle that it's already on, so just keep pulling it straight out on the same angle, don't try and pull it up. There we go. Should hopefully come out something like that. Now, let's feed this cable a bit up. Yeah, and should be able to lift up the screen from there. Oop, that did disconnect something up here. Did disconnect the sensor up the top there. Not sure what angle that went on. I think it was like that. Oop, I think it was like that. Fold it over on itself. I'm going to put this aside for now. And now here comes the harder parts. We're going to move the Wi-Fi antennas over. Being that one of these Wi-Fi antennas is snapped, I'm just going to leave that one obsolete, which will affect Wi-Fi connections. Basically, it's a matter of following where it lays. By the looks of it, these black brackets need to be moved over as well. So if I grab my original screen, overlay it on the top, like so, it should give me a rough idea where I need to transfer it. One bracket down here. This bit comes off. It's going to go here. But I need to continue the sequence that this is already in. So I've undo the screw at the top here. Put that aside for the minute. Then this bracket comes out. And then I can take the Wi-Fi antenna out. Which looks like it feeds along and through. So I bet the most challenging part of this would be removing these intact. So heat's going to be your friend here, as it will allow you to peel up the adhesive. As if you do damage this, you will have reduced Wi-Fi connection. I'll feed this back through here like so. Push this back down, and then follow up where it just came from. Hopefully the wire should have a little bit of memory to it, just because it's been in that position its whole life and it's made of metal, so it should hopefully recall where it needs to go without too much drama. So for me it's following that pretty well. So let's give you a slight hint on where it needs to run. Now I'm a little bit lost here just due to the damage that was done to it. I'm going to feed it through here and under. Or if this clamp is for the other plastic, I might even just go below that. So I'm not 100% sure on where this needs to go, just because it wasn't in that position when I got it. But I'm going to estimate something like this. It snakes down, gets down to here, follows across, and hopefully pops out from there. So now it's a matter of putting this bracket back on. Should just overlay, hopefully overlay. The mitt goes in first, top bit goes in second, wire gets pushed down, then bottom screw. Actually this will go back over down the bottom here. Down here. Whoop. I'm going to assume that's going to sit on that cable just to keep it in that position. My annoying screwdriver is no longer magnetised. Tighten that down. Same with this one up here. Now it's not really wanting to go in that screw at the top for me. Just because that bit of metal's there. There we go. Make sure it follows. Should go something like that. And next up, go to the other side. Now, luckily I bought those extra hinges and screws because this is definitely missing them. So I'm going to skip some of the task, which is the routing of the wire. Being that the wire's broken on this end, there's not much point moving it. But I will move that bracket. No. And this side was wanting to break too, as this screw's not coming out. That one is. This should lift out. Now, where do you run? I'm going to feed it down there. There. Take this one out. Under here. Go. Push that in. Put this on. Something like that. Next up, we've got to move over is the Wi-Fi antenna. Oh, sorry, webcam. Wi-Fi antenna. Trying to cheat it. And it's coming back to button. There we go. Push that in. Clean the metal out that's already there. Tighten up. There we go. Move this old line back to here. And the challenging part of moving all these sensors over. It's like a blanking bracket. I'm just going to stick that there just so I know the spacing. And I'm going to try and dig under and lift up. Like so. That one's the easy one of the two. This is the delicate flower here. Heat's definitely aiding me here, that's for sure. So I'm just prying up behind it. There we go. And that's lifted out for me. Remained relatively straight. Drop it into the new hole. Go. Something like that. Won't know for sure until I put that cover back on. Should be a couple of dots that it pushes through. There we go. I have to move these flaps out of the way. Like that. There's a hole here. Or a metal plastic lug. There's a random broken bit of glass here. Cheers, guys. Should be a matter of putting it onto there. The spacing's slightly different, it feels like. Yeah, there we go. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to need to just fold underneath. Otherwise I'm blocking the camera itself, which is not what we want to do. There we go. Fold and fold. And this should just feed into that section there, like so. So looking up next, I think I have the display to move over. I don't have any double-sided tape to stick down for it, so I'll have to replace that. And I will probably look at replacing these hinges. Bit of guesswork here for where this Wi-Fi cable is now going to run. I'm going to assume something like that. Like that, I'm going to guess. Now I've got my fresh screws to put in. At least start them off. So I won't be using the old hinges as I did buy new ones. I'm not sure what the root cause of the problem was, why they failed. So I think to avoid any potential reoccurrence or failure, I will simply install the new one. Torque down with a larger screwdriver, a bit easier. There we go. Now put this one over here. Switch back to my small screwdriver. Yeah, I'm not sure how much of this failure was a laptop getting knocked off a bench, as the customer was reasonably vague with that. He goes, I don't know if it happened at night when I fell asleep or if it's a cat or what happened. So it probably did actually suffer some outside force to be able to break it. There we go. Happy with that now. Should be able to turn off the heat off this heat pad. We have antennas, we have hinges attached. Now let's lay the screen back down. See where it may go. Looks to follow the path that's already there, which is handy. This bit go over here, I reckon. This bit just to lay under, maybe over. And as I've attached that, I've gone, wait a minute, why is the Wi-Fi antenna on the same side as the screen? Good question. And if you've been following me, this one does not need to go here, it needs to go over here. So my apologies for wasting your time there. So if you backtrack a little bit. Should just be able to loosen up a couple of these screws to take it out. No, I'll just take the hinge off completely. There we go. Back over here you go. Potentially under there. Now I'd say this must run downwards. That curve up here must be it running over the hinge, or over the hinge itself. Like this, and fold it that way. That's looking a bit better. Wrap that around there like so. Next up I want a double side tape along here. Sadly I'm running out of double sided tape. Put some of this stuff in here. Next up we'll be putting the screen back in after taping it in, and also reconnecting the cable that leads up to the webcam. Then from there, we should be on about the last 30% of this repair. Matter of lining it up, dropping it in, lining up the cable correctly down the bottom here. Feeding it along. Looks like it should sit like that there, over the top of the hinge. Now it's a matter of reconnecting this one up here. It should be lift up this little latch, move that tape out of the way, lift up the little latch, feed the blue into it. Find out your webcam doesn't work after you do the replacement, do check this connection. Flip that over, that locks it in, like so. Now I do want to double check to see where everything's going to run. Looking at it, these are fairly challenging hinges to get it actually to click over. But should run underneath. Looks like I'm going to have plenty of space. So that should be alright. I'm going to continue with putting that cover back on. Now mine mightn't actually fully properly click. There we go. Now this should line up. Mostly line up. Yep. You may have to tape this down, depending on how many clips and whatnot you've got. These bits here are being rather stubborn. There we go. A bit broken down here. This must be the side that was broken. As you can see, we have now got one screen assembly. So one is now good for the bin. Now, I'm going to assume it's going to kind of hook it. I'm going to have to push them out to the max. Kind of slip it over. Okay, that worked a bit better than expected. Hold them down with me. Move the fan out of the way. And it looks like we're getting there. Brilliant. Now we're going to use these round black screws on here. There. There. That one too. Slightly longer screw, goes where the arrow is. Just tighten up. Great. Jump to the other hinge. Do the same. Next up is a thermal paste replace. So we're going to put the cooler back on, and then we can put the fans back into their place, and then we're nearly there. So from here, I'm going to use some isopropyl alcohol on a damp tissue cloth, like that, and just give this a quick clean up. That's looking mostly alright. Over here to the CPU and do the same. Looking relatively neat. I need to do the same with the copper cooler up top here. That'll wipe down, that'll wipe down. Go. Just going to use some Arctic Silver 5, fairly plain stuff. Smear a bead out in the middle. Same with on the CPU. And no matter what I do here, it will always be wrong on the internet. Thermal paste is one of the highly contested things of you're doing it wrong. Now this should flip over, feed in. Now, I believe that did go under, not over. So I will feed it under. There we go. And feed this one under as well. There we go. And then these screws along here, which are these a smaller variety. Make sure I don't screw that to there. That would suck. Start with number 1. Number 2. No, that was number 4. Number 2. Number 2. 4. 3. 5. 6. And 7. Now let's go over all those again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Next up, lining up the fan. I'll plug in with its rough position. Feed it through. Line it up, slide it in, connect it up, go back over here again. And looks to be 4 screws for the fans, 4 screws here, 1, 2, next up, the other fan, feed it in the grooves, line it up loosely. Luckily these cables have plenty of slack. Screw it into position. Out of there. Now, there is main and aux. Luckily main number 2 is black, and that's still one that's still there. So if I hold the cable over the top, I should get a feel for it to kind of grip it. I should just be able to push down, it should latch it from there. There we go. If you do find that it is the main that is damaged, switch your auxiliary cable with your main cable and you should be able to hopefully reconnect it just fine. Next up from here is the battery and the bottom cover. And we should be pretty much done. Battery looks to line up here. Line up, drop down, push down, put its 3 screws in along the top here. 1, 2, 3. And we're up to the bottom cover. Should slide in underneath down here at the bottom, or the front of the laptop. Okay. Next up, bottom cover. We have 4 long screws. Simply go to the back of the machine. They should snap and click and pop into position. Like that. Do have to be a little bit brutal, but it should work. Like so. And then all we got left to do is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 long screws. 1, 2, 3 across the front, and you're done. And hopefully that's helped change the LCD cover and hinge mounting position on your HP 15CX. Bye.